Hello and welcome. Today I'm sharing with you a few small makeup tweaks that you can apply to your mature over 50 makeup routine that are going to make a huge difference. Now these are just my opinions. If you have techniques that you love and you think look gorgeous on you, you do you. It's so important to embrace what we love over 50 and be ourselves. I just think these few little tweaks have improved my makeup application and I wanted to share them with you. For great looking makeup, you don't want to skip the prep step. That means coming in with a skincare routine suited to your skin type. I have dry, sensitive, mature, kind of reactive skin. I did a cleanse this morning. I don't always cleanse my skin in the morning. I had a little bit of buildup from my tretinoin last night, so I used the Merit Cleanser, Copper Peptides by Peach and Lily. A thin layer is the Great Skin Instant Glow Serum by Merit. A little bit of this goes a long way. They say 2 to 3 pumps. I would say 1 to 2. Next up is the Merit's Priming Moisturizer. That way I can skip the makeup primer step in my skincare routine. This is a duo, a moisturizer and a primer in one. Finishing up my skin prep with a little bit of sunscreen. This is by OUTSET. This is their SPF 30. Skin prep done, sunscreen dried down, now onto our complexion product and where we can run into trouble as mature women, applying a complexion product that's too mattifying so that our fine lines show and it settles into our folds and wrinkles, or applying a product that's too opaque. Now here's just an example. It really doesn't matter what the product is, but you get the idea with the texture. This type of foundation just doesn't complement mature skin. It just sits into our lines, it gets too mask looking, and it doesn't let our mature skin show through. And I am personally of the belief that mature skin is beautiful skin and we need to let it shine through. So that's the way I approach my complexion products. So I have been doing lots of skin tints, but if you don't like a skin tint and you want a touch more coverage, my go-to for mature skin is the MDNo. This is the most beautiful foundation. It's kind of a medium foundation, but it just has some radiance to it that I honestly can't explain. And I'm going to show you just a little swatch of it, just so you can see how beautiful this is and that you still have skin peeking through and it looks like real skin. It's also super hydrating if you have dry skin. Lisa J turned me on to this a couple of years ago, and when I want just a little bit more coverage and a little bit of an elevated evening look, this is the one that I reach for. I've been trying the CIELE, I've been trying Typology, and of course the new Merit launch, and I like them all. I think I'm preferring the CIELE and the Typology these days, but I love a skin tint for mature skin. It just gives that beautiful light but skin perfecting coverage. I'm going to use the CIELE today. I'm in the shade Light number 3, and I finally found the dropper to this, thanks to you guys. You just pull the cap off and there the dropper is. I like to apply this on the back of my hand because I have more control over how much product I'm using. I like to apply it with my fingers. I just tap it in. And then my next tip is to use a brush. I learned that this summer, to use a brush to whisk away some of the product so you get true skin peeking through. A little extra coverage on my chin to cover up that redness. And then I'm going to blend this out with a makeup brush. I'm going to use the Angie Hot and Flashy Travel Brush. This is the A507 brush, and just blend this out. I learned this tip this summer by using a clean beauty brush. You just knock off some of the makeup and let your skin peek through. I just think this is a more mature look than having that heavier foundation. That's just my opinion, but I love this little tip. You just take some of the product off at the very end with a clean brush. And you can see my complexion issues along my brow, a little bit of pigmentation, and I have this little spot down here that's healing up from some perioral dermatitis that I had a couple weeks ago. I actually think letting these small imperfections show through makes mature skin look better because we're not having that mask look, which I think actually ages us. Another mistake that might be a holdover from your younger years is over powdering. Mature skin does not like to be over powdered. It just tends to make us look drier and more desiccated. I think those lighter powders that have come out, especially the ones by HOURGLASS, they have the translucent powder. They also have their pressed powders in these little palettes. I love my ambient lighting powders. I like to use the lightest color in this palette all over the face after I put my complexion product on, just to set my complexion product and make it last a little bit longer. Also, it gives a slight blurring effect, but it doesn't set into my crevices. So I just dust a very little amount all over and down the neck, just to kind of set things up. A step that I'm often guilty of in my daily makeup routine is ignoring my brows. As we mature, our brows get lighter, they tend to fade, they get sparser, and ignoring brows can really be a detriment to a finished, polished makeup look, whether you're doing a minimalist makeup look or a full glam look. Don't ignore your brows. Like I said, that is the one area I'm always forgetting and skipping. Honestly, because I don't really know how to do it correctly or so that it looks really good. I just always feel like I'm messing up my brows, but I'm going to try a new technique today. And this is a little bit more detailed than I had planned to show, but I learned about it this summer from Sandra Salen's channel. I'll link it down below, and she learned it from Nikki LaRose. So I am going to, number one, powder my brows. Number two, I am going to laminate my brows. I even have to cheat because I can't remember the steps. It's 4 steps. Powder my brows, laminate my brows, then I'm going to add the color, some brow color, and then fill in the sparse areas with a brow pencil. So here we go. I don't know, I've never done this before, but I think it's high time I stopped ignoring my brows because they really do help polish that makeup look. I just have a little mini of the Laura Mercier translucent powder, so I'm going to powder my brows. And apparently this soaks up some of the oils so that the products we're going to put on next stay better. And I actually could use a brow trim, but I'm also really afraid to take away any of my brows because then they just start looking sparse. All that to say, brows can be tricky. All right, I am powdered in. Now I am going to laminate. I'm going to use the Thrive laminating product. This just puts our brows in place. Oh, I've got a long one there. I do need to do some trimming and gives them some definition. And I can see now over the last few months that I'm getting a few gray brows. So it's probably especially important for me to not forget my brows. Now I apply a little bit of pomade. This is by Merit in the color Taupe. So I've been guilty of using grayish brow products. But it's also important to remember what the natural color of our brows were before we went gray. So they say that gives a more youthful look. So I'm going in with taupe today instead of the graphite color that I usually use. All right, what do you think? It really does frame the face. I do need to stop ignoring my brows. All right, the last step is to fill in any sparse areas. I have the Billion Dollar Baby brow pen. I'm gonna try and see if I can put just single lash strokes where I have empty spots. No, I think that's a little too heavy for me. I'm going to brush that out. Like I said, this is an experiment, and although I think this is looking better than my typical just slap on some brow gel, I'm going to have to play around with the pen. This might be a little bit too dark for me. I think I need to perfect this technique. I am going to brush this side out as well, just so it looks a little bit more cohesive. Brows in, I did a quick and easy shadow look with the Armani Liquid Shadows, shell over the mobile lid, and tobacco in the outer corner and in the crease. Super quick, just blended it together. Now to move on to liner. What do we do with eyeliner for our mature eyes? I honestly think it depends on the size of your eyes. If you have large eyes, you probably can get away with a darker liner. I have tiny eyes and I feel like the darker liner kind of makes me look like I have smaller eyes. Now, do I use a darker liner on occasion? Yes, if I want kind of that glam look, if we're going out to a party, I will do darker liner because it looks just a little bit more sultry and elegant for a mature evening look. But during the day, I think a brighter liner in the under eye area and even into the upper lid along the lash line just gives my mature eyes a bit of a pop. I'm going to do both looks and you can be the judge. The darker liner is Ebony and the lighter liner is Sand. And these are both by Makeup Forever. I'm going to put them in the waterline and just come around and go up into the upper lash line just a little bit. And I may have to blend it out with a brush. We'll see how it goes. Which do you think looks better for my mature eyes? I also feel that way about mascara. Heavy mascara and heavy liner just give the eyes a bit of an aged look. And I just picked up one of my favorite mascaras by Hourglass. This is the Unlocked and their new brown. I'm really excited to try this. This is a tubing mascara and it is gorgeous. It's one of my go-to mascaras along with the Merit mascara. And I just love this. So I'm hoping that the brown gives me a little bit lighter of a look, a little bit less intense look than their black did. Isn't that just the prettiest mascara? I love it, and it does not flake throughout the day. This is definitely going to be one of my new go-tos. I used to love the Benefits, their brow primer, but I actually like this better. Now for a couple bonus tips. Apply a moisturizing lip product during your skincare routine. That way, by the time you get to lining your lips and applying your lipstick, your lips will look so moisturized. They'll look plumper, there will be less feathering. And if you have some product left by that time, you can just blot it off with a tissue. Also, you can take this tip one step further and do an exfoliating treatment in the evening. Now, I used to use lip scrubs. I don't do that anymore. I just find that sort of exacerbates the dryness of my lips. So I use a light chemical exfoliant. Dr. Idris makes a great duo. Today, I'm going to be using her moisturizing lip base for my skincare lip routine. And during the week in the evening, I just apply her exfoliating treatment and then put a sleep mask on. It really helps to moisturize the lip area before you come in with your liner and your lipstick. The next tip is to apply a primer to your lids before you do your eyeshadow. Now this is the No Makeup Makeup eyeshadow by PERRICONE MD. You can use this as an eyeshadow. It's just the exact color of your skin, so it just gets rid of the redness and gets rid of the veins. I use it as a shadow primer. I think it looks beautiful to apply my shadow over a canvas where my veins and my redness is not showing through, so this is a great prep step. A little bit of blush. This is Flush Blush in Cheeky by Merit and Revie's Effortless Lips in Tulip. So what do you think about these makeup mistakes? Honestly, you do you. If you love the way you apply your makeup, keep doing it. If you have tips or mistakes that you'd like to share with us down in the comments, I would love to hear your recommendations. Also, if you're interested in some exfoliation tips, I'm going to be doing a members only video coming up this week. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to leave all the information down in the description, as I will all the products that I've used today. Thanks very much for watching and wishing you all a fantastic day.